So hello and welcome to round number 3 of 6 of the UCI BMX Racing World Cup from Papendal in the Netherlands. My name's Matt Payne. I'm here in the studio with Rich Eames, and we're going to be bringing you all of the race action right the way through the day, as much as we can cram in and get onto your screens for you. Rich, we've had an absolutely fantastic round 1 and 2 in Sarrion. We've moved to Papendal in Arnhem, and this is a fantastic venue, a historic venue. It's been a fantastic place to get out and explore, and we've both been out and around here.
Yes, we definitely have the scenic area of Arnhem, and most famous for being part of Operation Market Garden in World War II. But there's so much more to do in Arnhem, especially the BMX track here at the Dutch Olympic Centre. But as you walk through the town of Arnhem, so much to see, so much to do. Cafes, gardens, it's just such a really nice scene.
It's a wonderful place to come out and explore, and it's a great place to come down to the BMX track and get down and watch the BMX racing. So this Papendal, one of the real heartlands of not just the racing, but of course of festivals as well, and in fact one takes place right the way around the track. Now today it is scorchingly hot. It is 28 degrees C at the moment. It will go to 30 degrees. Currently the wind around about the 8 kilometres an hour mark. It's going to gust up to about 25, but no real peaks, and this is not a track, Rich, that is susceptible to the wind.
No, it's a little bit more friendly than Sarrion's was, because it's right on the coast there in France. But this track, it's a staple of the World Cup scene. We've been coming here since 2011. The riders absolutely love it. It's wide open. You know, there's plenty of big turns, big jumps. It's definitely a favourite of the riders themselves.
And we've had a lot of action already. The way that BMX racing works, of course, our riders come through and start in round 1 in qualifying. They move through that qualifying into the 8th and so on. So some real skills on show before we get even into the 8th and the quarterfinals are coming up in part 1 of the show, and the semi-finals, and in the finals that come up in the second part of our show.
Hey, I'm Isaac Kennedy. I'm 24 years old from Gold Coast, Australia. The thing with our sport, you know, it's very physical, but at the same time, there's a lot of technical work. The gate start's a big part of a BMX race. Yeah, the race is won and lost there, so I think that's a massive technical part of the BMX track. But obviously, yeah, the race isn't over at the bottom of the hill. There's a whole, whole track and a whole lap to do after that. So it's a full package of things you need to be good down the hill, good technique, and then just good bike skill as well. My key skills or my strengths is, yeah, I think I'm pretty fast down the first straight for sure. And maybe a few years ago I wouldn't have said this, but I think that gate start is a good strength and a good skill now. The 2024 World Cup season was successful. I was able to get a few podiums there. I won the Brisbane World Cup in front of my hometown and my home crowd, which was awesome. That was definitely the highlight of the year. And then kept having a strong World Cup season. I won the overall World Cup title. To win the World Cup title is good because, you know, it's a series long, so you know you got to perform each weekend, and it just, you know, brings that confidence to know you can show up each weekend and perform. Rounds 1 and 2 of the season this year went relatively well. 2 podiums, a second and a third. So not what I'm really looking forward to. Like every day I work to win these races. But in saying that, I can't be too mad. Second and third still a good result. I put a lot into this. You know, you do make a lot of sacrifices, and for me, every single day I wake up and every decision I make in my life is to be a better BMX racer. You know, whether it's going to hang out with friends, it always goes back to, no, I need to recover for the weekend or recover from training. With doing all that, yeah, I do put expectations on myself to come out here and win. The only thing that really does give me joy in it is winning. So I do work, and put everything into this to go out and win. You're not going to win every single race, and I know that, but it's always the goal, that's for sure.
It's going to be really interesting to see how the skills that the riders have been training so often translate on this track, Rich. And this isn't a standard BMX track, is it? In the sense that we have 2 starts. Not every BMX track has 2 starts. 2 start gates, and we've got, of course, the 2 different straights a bit further down, which are going to be really critical once you've got away from that start and that key starting skill.
Yeah, definitely 2 start hills here at Papendal, but we only use the one. It's the 8-metre start hill for those who are unfamiliar with BMX racing and its format. And as the riders come out of turn number 1, the track splits into 2. The left-hand side, which is the standard side of the track, typically used by the women, and the right-hand side, which is the pro side, which is used by the men, where they jump over the turn.
So it actually jumps up over the top and takes that right-hand turn. So time to get down and have a look at the racing. So here we go, down on to that bigger start hill, the 8-metre start. Here we are, where we've got not just our fantastic Uber fans, enthusiasts, the people who keep the sport running, the bedrock of the sport, but also new people watching wherever you are in the world. Welcome to Papendal. Welcome to the BMX Racing World Cup. The format pretty straightforward. Our riders start in heats. So they start off in 8 riders, going through from round number 1. You have to qualify from round 1 into our 8th finals. To do so, you can go through the standard round 1 or through the last chance qualifier. Once you're into those 8th finals, the 8 riders on the hill will then be whittled down, and that is basically the top half of the race field. 4 riders going through from quarters, through 8ths into quarters. 4 riders going through from quarters into semis, and if you make it through the semis, you're going to make it into our finals, and then it's all about your position, not just about qualifying. Your rider's position also, of course, determines where they're going to be on that start grid, and you can see the first 8 riders in our men's elite 8th finals, heat number 1. And it's a real star-studded field. It's going to be really interesting to see how this track's riding with our elite riders hitting it as the temperature's got warmer, it's got drier, and that wind hopefully keeping abated.
Yeah, the weather's got hot, but the racing's about to get hotter with the riders that are lined up for heat number 1 of these 8 finals, including Leo Garoyan, who was the under-23 world champion in 2022. Took that title out in Nantes in France, so he's out in gate number 8. And he's got a variety of riders to deal with. Let's see how these 8th finals break down. Right, tension beginning to build here as the riders line up on top of the hill for the 8 finals. Just getting themselves prepped and ready, deciding their line into that first turn, and making sure that they know exactly where they need to be when that gate drops. First of the 8 finals, leaving the gate for the elite men. I've got my eye on Leo Garoyan from the outside, gate number 8, and he's working his way over. He's got Jens Ugama, Julian Schmidt, and Simba Darnan to deal with. All 1 rider down in that first turn, so that just leaves 7 other riders heading down towards that second corner, and it is Garoyan, Schmidt, Darnan, Ugama. That is your 1, 2, 3, and 4 at the moment as they go down that technical third straight. Garoyan leading it out, looking good in the blue and white of France as they go into that final corner. Julian Schmidt in there in 2, that is Simba Darnan in 3. Looks like Darnan's going to work his way through. I think Ugama's going to go through in that 4th spot. Garoyan, Schmidt, Darnan, Ugama all going through. Good racing in heat number 1.
There's Pablo Garcia Marcos, who just didn't make it around that turn at the time. We just heard that crack and that little impact on the way down there. So a really exciting start to the racing. Already 1 rider in, and jockey of the position really tight on the left-hand side coming out that start gate there. A lot of people really starting to come across quite early on that straight. It's key, keeping that momentum rolling. Make the most of this. No problems at all for Gary on going through. Some Donald looking really interesting as well on his way through that.
Yep, heat number 2 containing Diego Arboleda. He took a win in the World Cup in 2021 at the round in Glasgow. As we see Pablo Garcia Marcos just leaving the track, being looked after by our medical team. We've got a highly trained medical team on the World Cup circuit looking after the riders and doing a fantastic job.
And it's always busy with or without crashes, and they're there to look after everybody on site. It's not just our riders, we've got all the team crew, the mechanics, you've got all, of course, the broadcast crew, the team that are there, and of course the marshals, the track maintenance. So they're kept busy with everybody, from bee stings to racing incidents and so on. Now, you can just see our 4 qualifying riders there who will go through. Top 4 riders in each of the 8 finals going through into the quarterfinals. Round after round you go through. Fastest times going through. Really keep taking the win in your heat. Of course, gives you the pick of the slots on the gate, and the pro gate are used across the World Cup. The riders ready, held in line.
Yep, Diego Arboleda there just lined up in gate number 1. He's got Quillan Isidore of Great Britain next to him in gate 2, and Michael Bias of New Zealand out in gate number 5. So yeah, Quillan Isidore there, back on the World Cup scene, riding independently and looking to make his mark from gate 2. Gate drops on heat 2, and Quillan Isidore just getting shuffled back that little bit. It's Arboleda who's going to lead it into turn number 1. Giacomo Fantoni's in there as well, doing it for the Italians as they go in and out of turn number 1. Vincent Pellouard in that second spot. Michael Bias of New Zealand in there in 3, but he's based out of France, so spends a lot of time in this part of the world as they go in and out of the corner. Where is Quillan Isidore? He's shopping now. He's looking for a position down that 3rd straight. Can he work his way into a top 4 position? It is Arboleda leading it out. Quillan Isidore still in there in 5, but he's going to push it all the way to the line. Can he get through? Bias is going to take the win on the line. It's going to go Bias, Arboleda going 1 and 2. Pellouard in 3, Suarez in 4. There was a photo finish for 5. Isidore involved in it. It's not going to be enough to take him through in the top 4 positions.
So our riders timed as they go down that straight, and you can see those timing splits popping up on your screen as we go through, as well, of course, as the summary at the end with our confirmed qualifiers. The timing chip operated by a line that's across the track. You'll see that in a number of places. Let's take a look back, though, where this race was won, where the heats were, and how you got through here. And as you said there, Quillan is not going through, working his way down this straight, but not able to make enough ground. No,
he was definitely looking to get himself around in that final corner, couldn't make it stick, and he had Vincent Pellouard in front of him, and that was just a step too far for Quillan Isidore, and unfortunately his day's over.
And you said earlier on, riding independently, so that's basically not sent there by the nation, but going perhaps for a trade team, or going under his own steam, or done a lot of paper rounds or whatever that is to finance that trip down there. So you can see just flying across your screen our next 4 riders through Bias, Arboleda, Pellouard and Suarez going in through to our quarterfinals as we move on to heat number 3 of the men's elite 8th finals here at round 3 of the UCI BMX Racing World Cup from Papendal in the Netherlands.
Renaud Blanc of Switzerland in gate number 1. One of the most skilled riders on the World Cup circuit. Always a joy to watch the moves that he pulls on his Instagram reels and things like that. Karen Larson of the USA in gate number 3. And Cedric Booty there on the 149, gate number 6, second overall in the World Cup Series in 2024. Heat 3 underway. Cameron Larson of the USA getting out there early. He's going to want to make up for his performances in Sorians when it certainly didn't go his way. Is he going to pick up the whole shot? No. Booty out there in front. It's Booty, Larson, Racine and Dubois. That is your 1, 2, 3 and 4. One rider's been pushed off the side of the track, so his lap is over, but it's still Cedric Booty in and out of that turn on the 149 plate. He's out in front. Cameron Larson in there into Molina of Argentina, always capable of making some moves in those turns. The South Americans just over jumps ever so slightly, gets pushed back into 4th, but he's still in a qualifying spot. Looks like he's going to be safe. Booty's going to take it on the line. It's going to go Booty, Blanc, Larson, Molina. That is going to be a 1, 2, 3, 4. Racine out in 5, but Cedric Pouty, a very solid lap from the Swiss rider.
I think that's Corentin Dubois, who is going to not make his way in through, so not going to be qualifying through. You can just see him make his way down the track there. So the third of our heats done, and no Dubois going through. However, top 4 riders to go through should be Booty, Blanc, Larson and Molina. Molina having a better race that time round. He wasn't quite as on form as we've seen him previously in rounds 1 and 2 at Sarrion.
Yeah, but what I love about watching the South American riders is that they are so, unscared to make moves in turns, to have a go, to try and make something happen. And it didn't quite come off in that final turn for Molina on that particular occasion, but he was in the right spot. He was safe. Racine right on his back wheel, couldn't get close enough down that final straight, and Molina through in 4th.
So the confirmed results, Cedric Booty going in through. He'll be looking to improve on what is currently a 23rd place after the second round. Not able to ride round number 2, going down in round number 1 in the finals. So took an 8th place overall in round 1, unable to repeat that in round 2 because he did come down heavily in the finals in round number 1. So he'll be looking to score some big points here and move himself back up the standings.
Yep, certainly will. And as the day progresses, we'll see how he gets on. But we're waiting for heat number 4, and there is the 815. That is Eddie Clerté out of France. Made the final in round number 2 in Sarrions. And he's got the 150 right next to him, Arthur Pilard. There is the winner of round number 1, Arthur Pilard, leaving the gate. He's got the red series leaders number plate on as they head in towards turn number 1, and he is going to pick up the whole shot. Eddie Clerté right there on the inside as well. We've got Alexander Katishev, the neutral athlete, who's trying to get himself into a top 4 spot as well. And Anaya is still also out of France, who's in there and pushing hard as they go in and out of turn number 2. Moves being made. Oh, one rider's over the top of the turn, and Clerté and battling with Arthur Pilard into that final corner. So the 2 Frenchmen leading it out. Looks like Pilard's going to pick up the win in this 8th final. Clerté going to end up in there in 2. The French are going to go 1-2. Who's going to pick up the 3 and the 4? It's going to be Katishev and Schaub.
And Arthur Pilard carrying on as he started off the season, rounds 1 and 2, taking top spot in round number 1. Left the door a little bit open in round number 2, and as Sylvain Andre said at round 2, he was going to make the most of that, and thank you very much, took the win. But with the first and the second, Arthur Pilard currently leading the standings and looking good at the moment. Gets that red number plate, as do all our leaders in the under 23 men's and women's and the elite men's and women's race category.
Yeah, that's an easy way to spot the leader of the series. Just look for the red number plate on the front of the bike, and that'll signify who is the leader in that particular category in the overall standings. And Nair is still just working his way off track. He's going to have to come back in round number 4 and try again.
Well, he will be back in Papendal for round number 4, rounds 3 and 4, coming from Papendal here in the Netherlands in the men's elite 8th finals. Heat number 4, just going over to the halfway point in our 8th finals. Pilard Clerté going through with Katishev along with Schaub. It's Gobers, Riviera and Eistel who are out as we get our riders lined up down here. Cameron Wood on the inside of the track on gate number 1 on the right hand side. Simon Marquardt out on the outside of the track.
Yep, there is Cameron Wood of the USA, the current USA BMX Pro Series champion, in gate number 1 with the stars and bars on his sleeve, the national champion. So 2 Americans in heat number 5. We've got Cameron Wood and we've got Rain Langford from Florida via Texas as they head into that first turn. It looks like it's going to be Cameron Wood of the USA picking up the whole shot. Simon Marquardt, where is he? He's in there in 4th at the moment. Stefan Heil getting in the mix, and Sylvain Andre as well as they go into turn number 2. And it is Wood, Andre, Marquardt, Webster of Germany in there. Where is Rain Langford? He's back there in 6th at the moment. Got a little bit of work to do as they come towards the final corner, but it's still Cameron Wood leading it out. It's going to be Wood and Andre taking it to the line. Wood and Andre, I think might have just nicked it at the stripe. Sylvain Andre, Cameron Wood, Simon Marquardt, Liam Webster going through, and Sylvain Andre leaving it late but doing it great.
So Andre, definitely one of the greats, and at the moment going through, taking the win there, the winner of round number 2. Moving through, Cameron Wood had a great round 2. 5th place in those finals last round. Looks good here coming out at the start, and good to see those two. A pretty clean run really overall for them going down there. Not really pushed to their limit there.
No, pretty clean as they got to the line, and Sylvain Andre just stealing that win away from Cameron Wood. They'll have great gate pick for the next round.
So here are the confirmed results for Sylvain Andre taking the win, going through just under a tenth of a second quicker than Cameron Wood in 2nd place, Simon Marcotte in 3rd, and Liam Webster in 4th. The 4 qualifiers going through from heat number 5. Heat number 6, top 4 riders going through, while this contains Jamie O'Brink, and this is going to be really interesting. Jamie O'Brink, who took a 5th place, made the finals in round 2. He moved up from 21st place at the end of round 1. And he moved right the way up to 6th place at the end of round 2.
That's quite a jump. And he's got his compatriot Justin Kimmen right there next to him in gate number 2. Great to see Justin back on the World Cup scene. So the 2 Dutchmen on the inside, but we've got the reigning World Cup champion Isaac Kennedy working his way across from gate number 8. 1 rider's already hit the deck as they go towards turn number 1, and it looks like Jamie O'Brink is the rider in control at the moment. He's in there in 1, Justin Kimmen in 2. Isaac Kennedy having a battle for that 3rd spot, and I think he's just taken it away from, I think it was Molina of Chile who was in that 3rd spot, and as they come down towards the final turn, it's going to be Jamie O'Brink and Justin Kimmen, but Isaac Kennedy's still shopping for more. He's looking for that 2nd position. Is he going to pick off Justin Kimmen down the final straight? I think he is. Kennedy's going to take the 2. Kimmen in 3. Jamie O'Brink taking the win. Matthias Bogart of Belgium rounding out the top 4.
And the rider who just came down there, Juan Esteban Naranjo Murillo, not making it off this time. Just this initial section just looked just tangled there, and just be leaning on the side there. You could just see not able to keep it corrected.
Yeah, Kennedy moving across early doors, trying to get himself a good line into that 1st turn, and unfortunately there was a touch, and the rider out of Colombia went down, and that's just the way BMX racing goes. Meanwhile, Jamie O'Brink was leaning it into the final turn. Justin Kimmen was in there in 2, but Isaac Kennedy had his eyes on that 2nd place. He wanted an extra step up in the gate picks, and he got it with that 2nd spot at the line.
And Isaac Kennedy there with the fastest start of all of those riders in that heat number 6. His start 2.418, coming down that start ramp to 2.434, the nearest time to his. So he had fractions of a second start, and it made all the difference with Brink, Kennedy, Kimmen and Bogart going through. On to heat number 7, and we're going to see who's going to be taking this. Rico Behrman, a real mixed bag of fortunes, but not where he wants to be at the moment, I don't think.
So Rico Behrman of New Zealand on the inside. He's got a battle on with Mitchell Shotman, who rides this track all the time, doing it for the Netherlands. He's there in that 2nd spot, been looking to keep the home fans happy. Bodie Turner in there in 3, and where is Chris Alden? He's back there in about 5 at the moment with a little bit of work to do as they come into turn number 2. Behrman leading it out. Shotman, Turner, Aaron Beck of Germany in there as well in that 4th spot, but he's under pressure now as they come down towards that final corner. Looks like the move being made in that turn. Beck's just been shuffled back that little bit, but Behrman's going to take it to the line. It's going to go Behrman, Shotman, Turner. That's going to be a 1, 2, 3. Hugo Marzlak picking up the 4 for France. Beck shuffled back in 5, and Chris Alden out in 6.
So Rico Behrman keeping the bike together, keeping himself together, and he was a model of consistency. He was scored 26 and 27 points in the 2 rounds so far, so very consistent within a couple of places of himself each time round. In round 1 or 2, be looking to go further up through the standings. Further up the standings you go, the more points you score, more likely you are to be at the top of those rankings when we come to the end of the World Cup season.
Yep, just taking a look as they came out of the turn. Behrman looking good. Mitchell Shotman looking for a better performance than he had in Sarrions. And Bodie Turner in there in 3, the world's fastest heating and cooling engineer. The working man of BMX as he brought it to the line in there inside top 3. Marzlak for the 4. Behrman just recovering there, but he's going to be happy enough with that lap. Any lap where you take a win is a good one.
It is 34.686. His time goes 3.3 of a second, almost ahead of Shotman, Turner and Marcelate. The rest of the qualifiers with 4 more riders to be decided to join the riders we've just seen qualifying to go into those quarterfinals from the 8th finals, and those 4 are going to come from the riders up at the gate now.
Yep, this one includes Ross Cullen of Great Britain. We've got Loris Eberhard on the inside, made himself a final in, I think it was round number 1 out in Sarions. It was, he finished 6th. And he's got the Danish rider Magnus Dyer right there next to him. There is Drew Polk of the USA. Riders heading down the hill in the last of these 8 finals. Ross Cullen on the outside trying to work his way across. It looks like Loris Eberhard is going to work his way into a hole shot position. Yep, he's in there in 1. Cullen going through in 2. Where is Drew Polk of the USA? He's in there in 3 right now, and he's got Vannes Magdalens of Belgium right there next to him. He's just going to steal that position away. So Polk in the 4th spot, under a little bit of pressure now from Magnus Dyer as they come down towards that final corner. In and out they go. Polk still holding on to it. Dyer's just having a quick look. Is he going to be able to dive down the inside? Polk's making his move on the Belgian rider as they come to the stripe. Cullen's going to get it. Cullen takes it out the line. Magdalens for the 2. Eberhard for the 3. There's a photo finish for 4th involving Magnus Dyer and Drew Polk. That's going to be an interesting one to see how it turns out.
Well, Polk, he had a great run of 10. He got 10th place and 12th place. I mean, you know, he was right up there. Just didn't quite make those finals last time round. He would be really disappointed to go out at this stage.
Yeah, if he's gone out, which I think he has, just taking a look at timing and scoring, it's telling me that Drew Polk has ended up in that 5th spot. He made 2 semi-finals in the first 2 rounds at Sarions and was unlucky to crash in the second one. And it's not gone his way in this one as Eberhard and Cullen work their way into that final turn. Magdalens of Belgium ended up in that 2nd spot. And you can see Polk pushing to the line, pushing, lunged for it, couldn't quite make it stick, and Dyer took it away.
0.04 of a second, according to the timing screen in front of me, between Magnus Dyer and Drew Polk. Just going to get that confirmed on our screens, and it is indeed exactly 0.04 of a second separating, going through and being out of the competition. Cullen and Magdalenis going through along with Eberhard and Dyer. Your last 4 qualifiers for the men's quarterfinals, which will be coming up in a short while. We're going to move across though. Already the line riders are up and in the gate.
Yeah, moving on to men under 23, and there is the winner of the first 2 rounds, Jason Nordam, in gate number 1, certainly on fire in this World Cup series so far. Got James Cutter-Williams on the outside doing it for the USA, Zach Kaiser of Canada in there as well. So a real mixture of nations in this one. 2 Belgians, 2 Dutch, a Latvian, a Canadian, a Frenchman, and a rider from the US of A.
Okay, riders, random start. Riders ready, watch the gate.
So Jason Nordam of the Netherlands already had 2 wins in the World Cup Series, and how we would love to win here round number 3 in front of the home fans. He trains on this track all the time, and he started well by taking the whole shot. That's Boujon of France, Hartmann and Williams. That is your 1, 2, 3 and 4 of the money. James Cutter-Williams, where is he? He's in there in the 5th spot now. He's just been shuffled back that little bit. Boujon of the French team in there in that 4th position. Hartmann getting involved as well, doing it for the Netherlands as they come in and out of the final turn. James Cutter-Williams goes highs-low in that final corner. Drag race down the final straight. Is he going to have enough as they get to the line? He's not going to get through. He's going to end up in 5th. Seppi Leinen in 4th. Boujon in 3rd. Ryan Hartmann in 2. But Jason Nordam picking up where he left off in Sarions. He'll be happy with that lap.
And James Cutter-Williams had a better round 2 than round 1 when we were at Sarions, so he's going to be looking to try and do the same again. No stopping Jason Nordam, taking 2 wins, maximum points, didn't drop a point. At the moment, looking good once again.
Yeah, he's looking like the dominant rider in the under-23s as we go into this 3rd round. Certainly the form's definitely not left him after Sarions. It was Le Bourgeon of France in there in that 3rd spot. Seppi Leinen, the Belgian national champion, just getting involved there as well. And you can see James Cutter-Williams of the USA trying to find a way around for that 4th spot. searching, couldn't quite make it stick, and you knew as he just took that little jump, he knew the game was over and he was going to have to settle for 5th place.
So the confirmed results on your screen with Norden going through 34.706, along with his countryman Ryan Hartman, and the 2 other qualifiers who go through, Leo Le Bourgeon and Seb Lehnen. They will be joined by more of our riders. It'll be 4 more from the second of our 8th finals heats. The riders already up at the top of the start gate with Casper Pipers pulling gate number 1 there, and he would love to excel here, obviously.
Yeah, so all the Dutch riders do want to do well in front of the home fans, but he's got the likes of Marco Radielli to deal with, and also in gate number 3, Juan Velasquez Carmona. So as the riders leave the gate in Heat 2 of these 8 finals for the men under 23, Marco Radielli, the former junior men world champion, just working his way across from the outside. He's there in the top 4 position. It's Pipers, Radielli, Carmona, Mellis. That is your 1, 2, 3 and 4 as they head towards turn number 2. But Pipers of the Netherlands is the rider out in front. That looks like Alexander Emmel, who's getting involved as well. Mellis in there in that 3rd spot. Radielli going through in 4th. And I think we've got Martin Puentes in there as well. So as they come out of the turn down the final straight, Radielli's looking good for a qualifying spot. Pipers is going to take it at the line. Pipers with the win. Mellis in 2, Radielli in 3, and Carmona going through in that 4th. Alexander Emmel from Switzerland, the unfortunate rider, out in 5.
So Pipers leading them home and over the line. The rest followed after, and at the moment those riders quickly get themselves ready to go, spin those legs, go keep themselves moving, absolutely keeping going from those 8th finals into those quarterfinals in this first block of racing that we're showing you here live at round number 3 of the UCI BMX Racing World Cup 2025. Riders that come out of the gate, Rich, Pipers showed it up there. If you're in gate 1, you keep that position. We've seen that being held quite a lot at the moment. In some ways, it seems more than serial. Yeah,
it's shorter line into the first turn, so gate 1's always an advantage, and if you can hold that into the turn and just ride everybody else just up that turn a little bit, it's going to give you much more time down that second straight to pick your line and control the race.
So the confirmed results from heat number 2. Casper Pipers coming home in front of Mellis Radielli and Velasquez Carmona, Emil Brekemas and Puentes. I think the riders who will not continue in the competition today. They will be back though, I'm sure, for round number 4. Now on to the 3rd of our heats, and Alexis Pikanowski, the rider in gate number 1. A second place in the first round, but only took 11th, not making the finals.
No, out in the semi, but
second round.
Yeah, he'll have his eye on the prize today, and the European champion there on the inside. So he'll be looking to make it pay, but he's got the likes of Louison Rousseau to deal with, and Marek Neusel.
Okay, riders, random start. Riders ready, watch the gate.
Gate drops on the 3rd heat. Piszczynowski on the inside, but he's also got Pedro Benalcázar, the world champion in the under-23 age group, took that win. Oh, I think he's gone down as well as they went over that jump into the first turn. So the world champion in the under-23 age group is out at this stage. The European champion Piszczynowski leading it through into that turn. Louison Rousseau in there into just over jumping into that second corner. Skursbeck and Neusel chasing him down. Neusel, the rider out of the Czech Republic, he's in there in 4th at the moment, getting a little bit of pressure from the Spanish rider as they go in and out of the turn. That's going to be Morales, who's hit the deck as well. So Piszczynowski takes it at the line. Rousseau, Neusel, that is your 1, 2, 3. Skursbeck of Germany in 4. But 2 crashes, the Spanish rider and the world champion Benalcázar, both going out at this 8th final stage.
And we saw Benalcazar not making it too far down there. Then we saw the Spanish rider come up the inside, trying to make a move. Front wheel hit the back wheel in front. Down he went as well. Took him out of contention. Let's take a look back.
Yeah, just trying to work out what happened to the world champion here. He was out there in gate number 7, just working his way across. He had a battle going on with Neusel as they went into the corner. And I think there might just have been a touch of elbows or similar. And that was enough to put him down on the floor. I think he just clipped Luison Russo, went down, and that took another rider with him as well, which was the Latvian. Unfortunately, his day over at that point. Luison Russo holding on to that second spot. Morales tried to go underneath in that final corner, clipped the back wheel of another rider. Down he went. He's up. He's unhurt. He'll be back for round number 4. Meanwhile, Alexis Pishinowski, the European champion, taking the win.
Well, 2 champions' jerseys in that heat with the European champion and with the world champion. Very different fortunes, though, with Benalcazar not coming in and across the line. Pishinowski, though, coming through ahead of Russo, Neusel and Skersbeck, the 3 who will be joining Pishinowski. Moving on from our 8th finals into our quarterfinals. And tumbles are all part of racing, pushing it to the absolute limit. Almost whatever discipline that the UCI covers, we see that time and time again, pushing it right to the limit. With BMX, it's always spectacular. It's right in front of you. If you're down there at the side of the course, it's right in front of you if you're watching here, and hopefully you're going to enjoy this. This is heat number 4 here of the men's under 23 8th finals.
Riders ready, watch the gate.
The French rider Titouan Faré in gate number 2 just went that little bit early, and the twitch has cost him because he's back. And he's gone down as well, so he tried to make up for his earlier error, and that's cost him. He's out at the 8th final stage. Ethan Popovic out in front, doing it for the USA. We've got Matisse Jacquet, the former European champion, who's in there as well, and that looks like Green off of New Zealand getting involved as well. He's already had a World Cup win in his career in the under 23 category. As they head towards the final corner, Popovic on the inside. Is he going to be able to take that first place away? He's not. Popovic in there in 2. Looks like as they head down towards the line, Matisse Jacquet is going to take the win. Jacquet in 1, Popovic in 2. Appamont in 3, Victor Berinks in 4. Seal none list out, but Titouan Faré, he twitched, he hit the gate, and then went down on the first straight.
And Matisse Jacquet, the rider who took 5th place in those finals in round number 1, didn't have such a successful round at number 2, coming through in 28th position, but still nicely inside the top 10, sitting in 8th position overall. Moving through, almost a double twitch there on the start by the Frenchman.
Yeah, you saw Faré twitch, and then, ejecto Cito, because as he left the track on the left-hand side and into that into the first turn. Meanwhile, Jacquet was battling with Ethan Popovic, taking it to the line, going 1 and 2. Greenoff actually going out in 5th.
And for those who are new to BMX, who are with us, ejecto Cito is not just a rich term. I'm sure he's managed to garner that in his rich, long time in BMX. Something you've practiced?
Yeah, I've borrowed that from one of my American co-commentators, Eric Grindle. Hat tip to Eric.
Definitely, it's always great working with people who come up with some great lines. So Matisse Jacquet taking away top spot. He goes through with Popovic, Appamore and Berinchik as they see those 4 riders going through. Titouan Faré, the rider, just limping his way off for medical attention. Now, next heat, Jesse Asmus up in heat number 5. He's alongside Pierre Geese, and one to watch. He took 3rd place in round number 2. Can he do it here today? He didn't score any points in round 1.
Okay, riders, random start. Riders ready, watch the gate.
So Jesse Asmus of Australia had 2 second places in the first 2 rounds. He's going to want to go 1 step better here in round number 3 of the 2025 UCI BMX Racing World Cup. He's out in front at the moment. Maturano, Gis and Bailey Seckold of Australia getting involved as well, but it's the rider who's had 2 second places already, Jesse Asmus, out in front, being chased down by the French rider Pierre Gis, who's in there in that second spot. He's been a stalwart of the European Cup scene for quite a long time, known for his speed and his skills, but Asmus is the man out in front, so he's going to go France and Australia 1 and 2. One rider goes down in that final corner. Maturano picking up the 3, Bailey Seckold hanging on for 4. business as usual for the Australian Jesse Asmus.
Yeah, Asmus was looking so good, wasn't he, for the rounds 1 and 2. Third place in round 1, second place in round 2. His current point score 264 points to the leading score of Nordown, which is 330 points, with 165 points for the win, 142 for second and 122 for third. And in fact, the top 3 on Nordown staying where he was. Asmus and Bikanowski switching places throughout rounds 1 and 2. Asmus off to a good start here, though.
Yeah, he looked great from this drop of the gates, on that inside, taking it into the turn. He had Gis right there with him, and he led it all the way through from the gate to the finish line. That's a picture-perfect lap for Jesse Asmus. He'll be more than happy with that one. Meanwhile, Ryder going down in that final corner, bike bouncing away. I think he might have just slid out from underneath him. He went high in the turn, disappeared underneath. The camera goes for a walk. We'll better pop that one back in position.
I suspect that is Moresco Zimmerman who came down, and I think he was the rider who tangled with Asmus actually on straight number 1 there as well, and got all out of shape there. So going through Asmus, Geese, Machon and Sekold as we move on to heat number 6 here. And going to be, I think, quite a tight heat this for who's going to go through in those 3rd and 4th spots.
Yeah, very evenly matched in this one. We've got Mathis Louet from France. He's got his compatriot Zian Lemay in there as well. We've got Jordan Callum from Australia out in gate number 8, and Remo Hofer of Switzerland right on the inside in gate number 4. He's certainly putting some decent laps in Sarrions, and then moving up from, I think, from the 16-year-old age group, I think, from previous years, Jesper Wahlberg of Sweden.
So we're just waiting for our riders to go down to the gate. Now, Zian Lemay, he got 7th place in round 2, a 6th place in round 1, a model of consistency, held 6th position overall across both days there. Now, really, really was super consistent. If you can keep that going through the season, you don't need to win a World Cup to take away a really high position if you can be really consistent and really strong.
Yeah, it's consistency of performance through the World Cup season. If you can make main events quite regularly, you can be quite high up there in the standings at the end of it all. So that's the key to a successful World Cup season. It's consistency.
2 finals so far. Can he make another one? Well, he's got to progress from our 8th finals into our quarterfinals. As you can see, the umbrellas out to shade the riders at the moment. The track just getting a little bit of a watering down just to try and keep that dust down and stop it from blowing too much and making life difficult. You can just see at the moment the riders just being held up at the top of the track. The multiple lines on the track, as you can see, the double line as the riders on that pro line go over the top of the standard line, the standard berm that you can see on your screens at the moment. And get this wrong, you're landing on the wrong piece of track. You can't see the scale of it on TV, much as we would love to be able to show you this in real size on your screen. It's very difficult. It's huge.
It is. It's a fairly significant gap. You need to be going at a fair old pace to get over it. But these riders, practiced and practiced. They know exactly what they're doing as they wait for the nod to get on the gate. But what I was going to say, Matt, is the fact that with some of our younger riders who are just coming into like the early part of their elite careers or the championship careers, riders like Jesper Wahlberg, who was 3rd in the 16-year-old age class in the 2024 European Championships, and Jimmy Criddle of Great Britain. So these young riders, 16, 17 years old, just getting stuck in at the World Cup level and giving themselves some real experience.
And when you move from under 16, you're moving up into the juniors, you move up into the under 23 category. That increase in pace, you've got bigger riders, you've got more strength, you've got more speed. It does take some transition to get through, irrespective of what you're doing. In terms of BMX specifically, do you think it's harder in BMX than in the other disciplines that we see?
I think it's hard in BMX for sure, because if you come in as a young lad at like 17 years old and you're getting mixed up in the under 23 categories like Jesper and Jimmy are and various others, you know for a fact when it gets physical, you're going to get pinballed around in those turns. It's going to be hard, but what it does is when you go back to kind of what I would describe as non-World Cup racing, everything's just going to seem that little bit easier. So you're getting that experience that you need earlier, and it makes you a tougher rider as you go through like your junior career and that kind of stuff. So it's just great experience for these riders.
So making sure those riders get that in the bank. We're just going to take a little bit of a look back at some of our earlier racing here. I think this is Asmus on the left-hand side. He can just see it all going out of shape behind him. I'm pretty sure that is the Brazilian that then had issues later on. Asmus was looking good.
Yeah, he definitely was looking good. He took a World Cup win, I think, in Brisbane in 2024, so he got it done in front of the home fans. And, his smoothness and his speed definitely showing in that 8th final.
So our riders being lined up down at the gate. This is going to be heat number 6, and I think it is Mathis Louis who's got the gate number 1.
Okay, riders, random start. Riders ready, watch the gate.
So the men under 23 8th finals continues. This is heat number 6. Mathis Louis of France on the inside, but it looks like the Belgian rider Loris Gimois, who is going to pick up that whole shot. He's in the Lemay, Callum, Louis and Volberg with the top 4 down the hill. Oh, it's getting a little bit congested. One rider goes off the side of the track as they go down that second straight, in and out of that second turn, and that is Jesper Volberg who's in there in that 3rd spot. Jordan Callum of Australia and Mathis Louis battling down towards that final turn. Louis on the inside. The Australian on the outside just cuts him off in that final corner. In and out we go. It's going to be the Australian Jordan Callum taking its line. Volberg might have stolen that 2nd spot. Louis in 3, Loris Gimois in 4, but there was a virtual traffic jam as they went through the 2nd straight.
Tell you something, Volberg there, he really profited from that little tangle up, that battle at the front. It stole the momentum out completely, didn't it?
Yeah,
and that really made it, really did make a difference. As we see Valentino Vallejo just grabbing the bike, gets himself back up. A few holes in the side of the jersey there. No such problems at the front of the race. Callum Jordan going through with Jesper Valberg, Mathis Louis and Loris Jean-Moy, the riders going through. Zian Lemay not making it through that time round.
No, I would have expected a little bit more from Zian Lemay on that particular occasion, but sometimes, BMX races just don't work out for you, and that was just one of these times. But Volberg just getting himself across. I think there was a touch with another rider as he came down that first straight, and it was Mathis Louis, the French rider, who was leading into that 2nd turn, but he had Jordan Callum of Australia right there with him. Callum tried to dive underneath as they went down that straight, and he just done enough as they got to the line, taking it away from the Frenchman. Meanwhile, Jesper Volberg of Sweden, coming in, stealing a spot as well. There is your confirmed result. Gimois, Louis, Volberg, that's 4, 3 and 2. Jordan Callum of Australia taking the win. He's going to go through to the quarterfinals.
So those confirmed riders now will be getting themselves ready to move onwards as we move on to heat number 7 with Tim Gooses up here, Clement Rochaud along with Enzo Leclerc, Eggers Lemanis, Mika Lang, Victor Aldrich Chidoba, along with Simon Beauchamp and Marcus Leth. They're up at the top of the hill there, Leth on your left-hand side, Goossens on the right. Goossens, Ho Nation rider, gate number 1. Pressure's on.
Yep, definitely going to be wanting to impress. Tim Goossens of the Netherlands there in the orange jersey with the 503 on the plates. And I've got an eye on Clement Rocheroux in gate number 2, but don't count out Edgar Langmanis of Latvia in gate number 4.
Okay, riders, random start. Riders ready, watch the gate.
It drops on the penultimate 8th final for these men under 23. Goossens on the inside. Looks like Victor Aldrich Chidoba of the Czech Republic having a problem down that first straight. He's right out the back in there in 8th, but it looks like the Danish rider Marcus Leth, who is out front and in control. Rocheroux in there in 2, Leclerc in 3, Goossens in 4, but Goossens has got his hands full as well because he's got his compatriot Mika Lang to deal with as they go down the 3rd straight and into the final corner. But it is the Danish rider Marcus Leth in and out in that first spot. Clement Rocheroux in there in 2. Leclerc's going to pick up the 3. Will he steal away that 2nd place? No, he won't. It's a battle of the Dutchmen for the 4th. Photo finish between Mika Lang and Tim Goossens. It's going to be interesting to see how that one turns out, and disappointment for Victor Aldrich Chidoba.
So Marcus Leth starting in gate 8 right on the outside. right the way through to that final. Takes away top spot there. The battle for 4th and 5th places, just awaiting confirmation. I think Michelin may well have it from Tim Goosens here.
Yeah, Tim Goosens is going to be kicking himself to go out in 5th spot after being in gate number 1 and having the best line into that turn, but Marcus left picture perfect first straight from 8, gets himself all the way across into that first spot. That's the way you want to be doing it. There's a little bit of a nod to Nick Kimmen, who took gate 8 quite regularly here at Papendal to make wins at World Cup level. Rocheroux in there in 2, Leclerc in 3, Mika Lang, and that is Tim Goosens looking a tad bit disappointed.
What was I right in thinking? You told me earlier Nick Kimmen's currently in a camper van going around the States at the
I
moment.
think he is at the moment, yeah, with his family. I'm sure he'll be watching right now.
Well, if you're watching, I hope you're enjoying the racing. We move on to our very last 8th final in this category, in the last of our 8 finals in totality, with Joshua Jolly lined up here. Will he be able to make this his? He's up against an on for Matteo Farah, who made the finals in round number 2. But Jolly, you can just see there on gate number 1 on the right-hand side.
Okay, riders, random start. Riders ready, watch the gate.
Last of the under-23 8 finals, heading down the hill. Joshua Jolly on the inside, doing it for Australia. He's already had a win at the USA BMX Pro Series, Bakersfield, California, so he's certainly on form coming into this. British fans will be looking out for Jimmy Criddle of Preston Pirates BMX Club, back there in about 5th spot at the moment and pushing hard, looking to make his way through to a quarter-final as they come in and out of the turn. It's Jolly, Luthi, Faure, Kazanstev, I think, the neutral rider in there in that 4th spot. Jimmy Criddle in 5. Can he pick up a 4? I think he's just left himself a little bit too much to do. Joshua Jolly taking it to the line. Jolly goes through. Luthi, I think, in that 2nd spot. Faure in 3. Kazanstev in there in 4. Jimmy Criddle unlucky in 5, but I'm sure he's enjoyed his first World Cup experience.
Well, it's always just that little bit of a step up, isn't it? Huge step up when you go to a World Cup. It's a bigger atmosphere. You know you're up against the best riders. The pressure's on. You know this is how those points are going to be allocated out. Joshua Jolly, he just had that dial. Didn't affect him at all. Just got on with it from gate 1.
Yeah, absolutely flying Joshua Jolly. If you're taking wins at the USA BMX Pro Series level, then you know you're on form, and Joshua Jolly definitely is as they came out of that turn. You know, he had Marc Luthi of Switzerland behind him, Matteo Faure of France in there. They were the 1, 2, 3. Alexander Kazantsev, the neutral athlete, in there in that 4th spot. Jimmy Criddle unlucky in 5.
So our 8th finals in the men's under-23 competition concluded heat number 8 with qualifying rise by Jolly, Luthi, as well as Kazantsev. They go through Criddle, Simonson, Kiyuchi and Limburg, the riders eliminated from the competition at this stage. Don't forget you can catch up with the full results on the UCI website. That's www.uci.org. Head across to the disciplines, go to BMX Racing, and then you can find the race hub and all the links to all of the results on there.
Yep, first of the 8th finals for the Men Elite lining up, and Cedric Booty on the inside. He's got the fastest lap of the day so far, 34.485. Can he improve on that as we go into the 8th finals?
Random start. Riders ready, watch the gate.
So the 149, Cedric Booty heading down that hill towards that first turn. Here we go into the corner. Let's have a quick look who's in there. It looks like Booty's actually managed to pick up the whole shot. Riders going through 2, 3 and 4 at the moment as they head towards that turn. And just picking up Julian Schmidt, Jense Ugerman and Sylvain Andre. That is your 1, 2, 3 and 4 as they go towards that final corner, but Cedric Booty out in front. Moves being made in the turn. That looks like Sylvain Andre getting involved as well, but Booty's going to take it to the line. Andre going to go through in there in 2. Schmidt in 3, Ugemar in there in 4. Justin Kimmen unlucky in 5.
Justin Kimmen not going through, just missing out there. As these riders make their way off the track, the team Hudson Team Pennzoil just beyond that finishing straight, and all the helpers there to look after the riders. Takes through the race, Rich.
Yeah, Cedric Booty getting a great start. You can see Sylvain Andre just working himself into that position. Yenze Ugamar trying to make some moves as well. Michael Bias was back there in about 5th spot. Justin Kimmen on his return to the World Cup scene. He was in there in 4th. Looks like he just got caught out in that final straight. And as they take it down towards the line, Booty, Andre, Schmidt and Ugamar. That was your 1, 2, 3 and 4. Justin Kimmen wasn't that far away, but disappointment. As they went across, he ended up in 5th.
So just waiting those confirmed results come in, and here they are. Cedric Booty confirmed just ahead of Sylvain Andre, Julian Schmidt and Ian Theo Gamer going through the 3rd and 4th riders there, making the way in ahead of Justin Kimmen, Michael Bias, Liam Wester and Martin Bogart. So we're going to move across to heat number 2, and it's going to be an interesting battle here between Eddie Clerté in gate 1. Cameron Wood is in gate 2 here. It could be very tight going into that first corner.
Yeah, it'd be going to be tight going into the first corner. Be interested to see what Leo Garayan can do from gate number 8 and whether he can get across and be in position going into that first turn.
Okay, riders, random start. Riders ready, watch the gate.
Heat number 2 of the quarterfinals. This one's stacked. You've got Clerté, Wood, Marzalak and Cullen involved in those first 4 gates as they go in towards turn number 1, and coming across on the 205, Leo Garayan. And it is Cullen, I think, who's worked his way into the lead. Garayan's in there in 2. Cameron Wood in 3. I think he's made a slight mistake going through that second straight, and that's allowed Clerté to go through. So the American, the USA BMX Pro Series champion, he's there in that 4th spot and under a little bit of pressure as they come towards the turn. He's made a mistake on the 3rd straight as well. So can Cameron Wood hold on to that 4th spot? He's just holding on right now. Bit of an untidy lap from the American, but Cullen makes it in. Marzlak, Cullen, Clerté, Wood, Garayan in there in 5. Just couldn't make it happen from gate number 8. But the problem started for Cameron Wood on that 2nd straight, and it didn't get much better on the 3rd.
He absolutely slammed the door on that final turn coming through. They were looking on the outside there to come round, and he made sure there was no way anyone was going in through round that side. So here we go. Let's take a little bit of a look back here. Good start by Cullen, and really made this stick despite being right in the middle there.
Yeah, the start from Cameron Wood was really good, and Cullen was in there as well. And as they came out of the turn, I think Cameron Wood just came up a little bit short. Then he made another mistake on the 3rd straight and got slightly out shape as well, but he managed to hold it to the line. Garayan ended up in there in 5th. Cullen coming through, taking that spot behind Marzalak, and you just need to be in the top 4, and that's exactly where Cameron Wood was.
So confirmed and going through, Hugo Marzalek goes through with Ross Cullen, Eddie Clerté and Cameron Wood. They're your 4 qualifiers going through from this heat number 1 of the men's elite quarterfinals. And as they go through, you can see Gary and Suarez and Magdalene's going to have to come back into round number 4. They're going to have to be back to try another day. Still in the competition though, those riders going through into those semi-finals from our quarterfinals. The semi-finals coming up a little bit later on today. Do make sure you join us for those. Another very tight heat here, Rich, but Arboleda, you would think, should have this pretty dialed.
He's going to be certainly in there inside the top 4, but he's got Rico Bierman to deal with and Mitchell Shotman as well.
Riders ready, watch the gate.
So Rico Bierman, the national champion of New Zealand, leaving that gate with Mitchell Shotman right there next to him as they head down towards that first turn, and Diego Arboleda has been shuffled out of the back, the South American Continental champion, so he's got a lot of work to do at the moment. Mitchell Shotman in that 2nd spot, Molina's in there in that 4th, I think, and as they go into turn number 2, Bierman still leading it out. Where is Arboleda? He's back there in 8, working his way to 7. I think he's left himself way too much to do in this particular situation. Looks like his day is going to be over as they come out of the corner. Shotman's going to be happy with the 2nd spot. It looks like the Swiss rider Renaud Blanc, I think he's going to pick up the 4th. He does. Katishev, the neutral athlete, in there in 3. Bierman taking the win, but I can guarantee that Diego Arboleda will be so disappointed with that 7th spot.
Well, compared to rounds 1 and 2, Bierman is well and truly back. Arboleda, who was consistent in rounds 1 and 2, fought it both times, so basically not making it just into those finals, going down to the semi-final stage. He just couldn't do it today. Different track, different day, different weekend. Not to be.
No, not to be at all. And I was taking a look at Bodie Turner as well, just to want to work out whether he could work his way in. He was back there in 8th, not where we expected him to be. Meanwhile, the national champion of New Zealand, Rico Bierman, was leading it out of the final turn. Shotman in there in that second spot. Katishev going through in 3. Renaud Blanc rounding out the top 4. Gonzalo Molina, unfortunate in 5th.
Well, if we thought that this heat number 3 of our quarterfinals was going to be a done deal, all right, if Arboleda and proved very, very wrong there. Bierman, Shotman, Katishev and Blanc going through. The next one's definitely going to be tough to pick, because when we go on to heat number 4, Jamie O'Brien, Arthur Pillard, Simba Darnard, Loris Eberhard, Cameron Larson, Simon Marcotte, Vincent Pillard and Isaac Kennedy. Take your pick.
Yes. World Cup winners, World champions, World Cup champions, all in one quarter-final. So this one is going to be entertaining. And there is the red plate holder, the leader of the series as it stands right now. Gate number 2 on the 1:30. It is Arthur Pillard. Also has the European Champions jersey to boot as well.
Okay, riders, random start. Rider is ready. Watch the gate.
So Isaac Kennedy of Australia out in gate number 8. He's going to have to do it the hard way in this one, but he's already working his way across into the turn, inside the top 4. Yep, just working himself into that 3rd spot behind Jamie O'Brien as the Swiss rider. I've got a feeling that might be, I think it's Loris Eberhard, leading it into the turn. Jamie O'Brien in there in 2, Isaac Kennedy in 3, Simon Marcotte, the 2022 Elite Men World Champion, in that 4th spot. But the big news is the winner of round number 1, Arthur Pillard, is in 5. He needs to be inside the top 4. He's chasing Marcotte down towards the line. Is he going to steal it at the stripe? It's going to be a very close finish. Simon Marcotte and Arthur Pillard. Photo finish, try and separate those two. Cameron Larson out in 6.
Pillard wins round 1. Second, round 2. Will he go through? Is he going to make it out? Well, the quarters into the semis, Rich.
This is it. Time and scoring is telling me that Pillard's going to be out in that 5th spot, and Simon Marcotte nicking it away by literally a fraction of an inch as they went across that line. No problems for Jamie O'Brien and Isaac Kennedy going 1 and 2. Desperate lunge at the line from Pillard. I don't think he's done enough to overhaul Simon Marcotte. There's literally a smidge in it. Be interesting to see what the reaction is from the Frenchman.
I'll make it about 2/100ths of a second between Marcotte and Pillard. In fact, it's on our screens. So whilst I'm doing the maths, Brink, Kennedy, Eberhard and Marcotte confirmed going through. Pillard not making it out of the quarterfinals. The series leader, the man who was leading the standings coming in, goes out. What a shock. Well, if we can see Pillard go out, will we see an upset here in the women's under-23? Michelle Vissing, imperious in France, back in the Netherlands. What can she do today?
Well, she'll be hoping for a win in front of the home fans. She's got Marie Favrel, who was right there up on the podium with her in Sarion's. Marie's in there in gate number 3. Ines Claessens of Switzerland in gate number 5. And then right on the outside, Dominika Manikova on that 518 plate. So, Michelle Vissing, will the success continue?
Okay, riders, random start. Rider is ready. Watch the gate.
We start the quarterfinals for the women under 23. Fairly even heading down the hill. Looks like Marie Favrel got a nose in front early doors, but it is Michelle Vissing who's going to lead it into the turn. So, one rider's gone down in that first turn. Not quite sure, maybe even 2. So, Vissing, Favrel going in 1 and 2 at the moment. Just trying to pick up the rider in there in 3. Who's got that 4th spot? It's Van Schindel and Manikova. That is your 3 and 4 at the moment. But Michelle Vissing stretching out a lead as they go into that final turn. She's out front and gone. Marie Favrel in there in 2. Manikova, I think, is going to pick up that 4th spot behind Lizzie Van Schindel. Cordero in 5. Lance in 6. all mixed up. Ines Claessens was one of the riders who went down with Nicole Castro, I think, out of Colombia. Those were the two riders that hit the deck. No problems for Michelle Vissing. There is Ines Claessens picking herself up, rolling away. She's unhurt. That's good to see. She's going to have to come back round number 4 and have another go.
So from the start here, Michelle Vissing just having to battle it out to get into the whole shot, trying to get away clear at the front. You can just see getting those pedal strokes between the jumps as comes into number 1. This first corner down, we just saw the wheels just go out from underneath, didn't we?
Yeah, it was the Colombian rider who just over jumped, got unweighted as they came across that triple, went down in a heap. Ines Claessens had nowhere to go, ran straight into her. That was race over for the young rider from Switzerland. Meanwhile, Michelle Vissing and Marie Favrel going 1 and 2 across that line. I'm pretty sure we might see those two riders in the final a little bit later.
And one rider who really came up from round number 2 after round number 1, who really picked herself up, was Ava Corley. But Corley not making it through. She went out earlier on in the day, so we're not going to see her on our screens today at all.
No, we're not going to see Ava Corley. I believe she had a crash in practice and possibly broke a collarbone. That was the information I got from down on the ground.
Well, Hill Fast, one of the characters in the Bright Stars of the future of BMX, and no doubt we'll see her back once again as we take our look up to the top of the who will be joining Michelle Vissing and Marie Favrel, Lizzie Van Schindel and Dominika Manikova, the qualifiers from heat number 1. Which 4 riders from heat 2 are going to move through? Lily Greenough going well. Betsy Back was close, but no cigar. Stariska doing the usual, going on the outside, never seems to stop her.
Nope, keeping herself out of trouble, I think. And she'll be there or thereabouts.
Okay, riders, random start. Riders ready, watch the gate.
Heat 2 of the quarterfinals is go. British fans will have their eyes on gates 4 and 5. Betsy Bax and Sienna Harvey. Oh, one rider's already hit the deck. Looks like Greenoff's going to lead it into the turn, followed by the world champion. That is Veronica Stariska there in that second spot. So Lily Greenoff took a 7th and a 3rd in those first 2 rounds out in Sarion, so her fine form is continuing. Sienna Harvey in there in that 4th spot. Where is Betsy Bax? I'm hoping she's not been one of those riders that's gone down. Oh, it looks like Stariska's hit the deck, got out of control as they came down the 3rd straight. The triple at the end of it caught her out. Down she went. Sienna Harvey in 3. Who got the 4th? Betsy Bax and Jodie Vimont are going to have a photo finish for that. Stariska took her eye off the ball for a split second, and the track at Papendal has jumped up and bitten her.
Certainly has. A 6th place at round 1, a 4th place at round 2 for Stariska, but not to be here today. Whereas Lily Greenoff, she took 7th place in that final in round number 1. She took 3rd place on the podium at round number 2, continuing on form. Stariska's back up again. You can see the damage to the clothing from that tumble. Was that just losing concentration? It seems to be that trip was it's really tricky.
It's very tricky when you're coming into that triple at the end of the straight in speed. As we watch Meredith van der Haar go down, that caught up Betsy Bax of Great Britain, so Betsy was well out of it at that point and has managed to pull it back for a 4th place finish. Just trying to see what Stariska did. Oh, she just got unweighted. The back wheel looked like the back wheel came up a little bit and it spat her over the front. And that was it. Job done for the world champion in the rainbow stripes, Sienna Harvey in 3. And Betsy Bax, well, she'll take that one every day of the week, coming back for a top 4 finish.
So just going to get those results confirmed for us from the second of our quarterfinals in the women's competition. You can just see heat 3 just awaiting their turn at the top of the gate, not rolling down too early, as our medics just make sure that they attend to our riders. Great to see these teams. They're so invaluable. We've all crashed at some point, we've all come down, we've all used those medics, and they do an invaluable job wherever they are. The skill, the time, that dedication, and I've got to say thank you very, very much to all of them. I won't be here without their administrations, that's for sure. I don't think you probably will be one way or another.
Probably wouldn't, no.
We're both rubbish though. Let's face it. We definitely write checks at skill level, can't pay. So we can just see the riders waiting at the bottom of the hill. Sayas Kakibara, in fact, just waiting to go up on to the gate there. Just waiting to do those picks. They know that there's been a delay. Staying down in the shade out of the way, keeping cooler. Very, very smart move. Sayas Kakibara in the women's elite competition. Somebody with a 2nd place in round 1 and a 5th in round number 2. Not the weekend she wanted in Sarion, but we know that she's made out of tough stuff and is in the process of building.
Yeah, she very much is in the process of building. As we were saying before, it's about consistency across a World Cup season. I wouldn't be surprised to see Saya back on top of the podium before the series is over.
Now, those results have been confirmed with Greenough, Guy and Harvey and Vimont, the riders going through. So New Zealand, Australia, Great Britain and France represented from the riders in heat number 2, the second of our women's under 23 quarterfinals. Bass, Pinheiro, Stariska and Van der Haar, the riders not making it through in from this stage of the competition in onto the next. The track just being checked, cleaned, cleared. Those results going in dispatch, but a great result given that tangle at the start. I mean, she was behind Van der Haar as they came down, and that really just disrupted her race. She came back though.
Yeah, very tough lap, and to miss out by 2 1/1000ths of a second at the end of it all is very rough. But she'll be back for round number 4, no doubt at all. Got Ranske van Sanfort in this one, Calvis Garcia also in the mix as well, Clara Rouget and Laura Muget as well, 2/8 in the first 2 rounds, and Yvette Devord, she'll be wanting to make an impression in front of the home fans. And there is Nanika Nishimura of Japan out there in gate number 2.
Riders ready, watch the gate.
So heat number 3 of the quarterfinals for the women under 23 as they head towards that first turn. Kylie Shea's in this one for the USA. Riders going down on that first straight, and it looks like Renske van Sanfort giving the home fans what they came for. She's out in front at the moment, made podiums at Sarions before now, and she's leading it into the turn here at Papendal. Knows this track like a back of her hand. She trains here all of the time. French rider Clara Rouget in there as well, and Laura Muget, and it looks like, I think it's the Japanese rider Nishimura who's rounding out the top 4 at the moment. She's under a bit of pressure though as they come down that final straight. Spanish rider in there in that 3rd spot. Is Simashkina going to go through as well? Yes, she is, the neutral athlete. Simashkina taking that 4th spot. Very interesting. Kylie Shea in 5. Yeah, Simashkina taking that 4th position.
So you can just see the change of bike as go warm down. Really careful on the gate. Early incidents in this race as well.
Yeah, Yvette Devord, she was working her way across from 7. I think she got tangled up with Clara Rouget in that incident. Yeah, both riders going down in a heap. And I think it was Rouget who got out of control, collected Devord, and they both ended their lap on the first straight. Meanwhile, Laura Muget in that 2nd position behind Renske van Sanfort. And it was the Spanish rider Calvis Garcia in 3 and Simashkina coming through in 4. But the Dutch doing very well. Michel Vissing, Renske van Sanfort both winning their quarterfinals.
Renske van Sanfort took 4th in the finals in round number 1. Not so good in round number 2. Going out in the semi-final stage, Devord, you got to feel for a 5th place in round number 1. And then I seem to remember her coming crashing out in round number 2 as well, and so not having the best of rounds 2 and 3. Hopefully she'll come back in round number 4, feeling back and ready to battle. No doubting the battle prowess of Van Sanfort, who goes through with Muget, the top of those 2 ahead of Calvis Garcia, and Simashkina going through as well. Shea, Nimashkura, Devord and Rouget, the riders not making it on from this stage as we move across to heat number 4.
Yep, this one's going to be interesting. Emily Hutt of Great Britain out there in gate number 7. Sabina Korsakova on the 508, gate number 1 on the inside, and I'll have my eye on Alexis Alden in gate 4 and Isabella Schramm in gate 5.
Okay, riders, random start. Riders ready, watch the gate.
So Emily Hutt of Great Britain electing to go from gate number 8, possibly hoping to keep herself out of a little bit of trouble. It looks like Alina Beck's had a terrible start. She's back there in 8 at the moment. One rider taking it to the skies as they go in and out of that turn. Emily Hutt's been pushed right round across the outside, so she's back there in 7th now and got it all to do. So the Great Britain rider making podiums, and now she's going to struggle to get out of this quarter-final. She's really going to have to make it happen as they go down that straight. She's gone from 8th to 7th to 6th. Can she pick up the 5 and the 4 as they go in and out of the final corner, or has she left herself too much to do as they bring it down to the line? Alexis Alden in there in that 2nd spot. Emily Hutt, I think she's going to go out, I think in 5th. She was battling with Singalani. It all got mixed up. Isabella Schramm as well. Singalani's been relegated according to timing and scoring, so that's going to mix it right up. Korsakova, I think, in the 4th. Emily Hutt in 5th. it was Fayed Mercado taking the win.
So really interesting. Singlani getting relegated there, Rich. What did she do wrong here? There was some real pushing and sliding across the track.
Yeah, it's going to be a hard one to pick out as they go into the turn. Cherie Nicole Fayed Mercado was the rider out front and in control. Alexis Alden was looking good in that second spot. There was some touches of elbows, just trying to pick out what was going on.
Singlani, I think, just went right off track, right the way down the side there. Didn't lose any position, didn't get any disadvantage there. May well have been there. She was certainly pushing it to the absolute limit everywhere, as all the riders were. A very interesting result as the riders go in and over the line there. And Korsakova just qualifying, moving in and through. Korsakova, a rider who has had a great second round. She made those finals last time out, so heading in the right direction. Fayed Mercado, Alden going in through with Sitnikova as well as Korsakova. Hutt, Schramm, Beck and Singlani. The riders not going through. Not
going through at all. Like I said, Emily Hutt got pushed high in that first turn, and it definitely cost her. As we move on to the Women Elite quarterfinals, first one lining up, we've got Delaney Vaughan in this one, Layla Walker, Bethany Shriver, Lauren Reynolds, Taya Rufus, Peyton Ridenour, and Meryl Smulders. So a real who's who of the Women Elite class lining up in this quarterfinal. Bethany Shriver,
Okay, riders, random start.
looking to take a win.
Riders ready, watch the gate.
Moving on, changing categories, these are the Women Elite quarterfinals. Bethany Shriver of Great Britain, the former world and Olympic champion on the inside. Lauren Reynolds just working her way into that second spot. She's in there in 2, Delaney Vaughan in 3, battling with her compatriot Peyton Ridenour. Peyton's been shuffled back a little bit. She's back there in 8th at the moment as they go in another turn. Shriver, Reynolds, Rufus, Delaney Vaughan, that is your top 4. Delaney Vaughan under pressure now as they come down towards that final corner. Is she going to be able to hold on to it? I think she is, but no doubt who's out in front. Bethany Shriver, Lauren Reynolds going 1 and 2. That looks like Taya Rufus in 3, Delaney Vaughan in 4. She was under pressure from Walker and Smulders, but did enough to hold on.
Well, Delaney Vaughan, who took a 3rd place in round number 2, really under pressure there. Unlike Bethany Shriver, who went out the front, and that was it. She was just out of sight.
Yeah, out of sight, and that's the way you want to be. You want to get out there early doors, be out in front, let everybody behind you take care of what needs to go on. It's the best place to be, and Bethany Shriver definitely made it happen. Lauren Reynolds, and working her way into that second spot, especially after the nightmare travel journey she's had to actually get to the event itself. She's there in that second position. So it was Shriver, Reynolds taking it to the line. Taya Rufus came back after a big tumble in that first round in Sarrions. Good to see her back on track. She ended up in there in 3, and Delaney Vaughan rounding out the top 4.
So Shriver there, you can just see her with the Great Britain national stripes, the red, white and blue bands around her midriff. They're heading off to go spin those legs out, taking away top spot in that quarter-final ahead of Reynolds, Rufus and Vaughan. The qualifiers who go through are Walker, Smulders and right now, well, they're going to be coming back in round number 4. You have to wait another day, another sleep. You can press that reset button overnight and then try and progress just a bit further next time round as we move on to the second of our Women's Elite quarterfinals with Zoe Claessens, who's absolutely been on form, winner of round number 1, up against Sayaka Kakibara here at 2nd place in round number 1, 5th in round number 2. That's the rider on your screens.
Yep, Sayaka Kakibara getting ready to go.
Okay, riders, random start. Riders ready, watch the gate.
2 Australians in this second quarterfinal, Sayaka Kakibara and Sienna Pal as well, who's out there in gate number 4, and it looks like it's going to be Kakibara and Claessens going 1 and 2 into the turn. That is Axel Etienne of France who's in there in 3, and looks like the American rider. I think it might be Lightning Lexis Colby. Yep, she's in there in that 4th spot at the moment, and Mackenzie Gayhart trying to get involved as well as they head down towards that final turn. It's going to be Claessens in that second position, Sayaka Kakibara leading it out, Axel Etienne in 3. Looks like Colby's left the door open. Oh, one rider goes down in the turn after trying to make that move as they go across the line. Etienne in 3, Pal in 4, Lexis Colby in 5, Aiko Gomez in there in 6, and I've got a feeling it was Mackenzie Gayhart who hit the deck in that final turn.
Going with Glassons and Sakakibara over the line there in 1 and 2. You can see that they got a great start here and they worked their way through. Good ride by Axel Etienne. She just missed out on the finals in round 1. Then 4th place in those finals in round number 2. Etienne looked really secure in that 3rd place spot here. The front 3 going clear.
Yeah, smart, sensible lap there from Axel Etienne, just exactly where she needed to be. All the action was going on behind. Mackenzie Gayhart trying to throw it in underneath Lexis Colby in that final corner and exited through the fencing at the side of the track. That just messed things up a little bit for Lexis Colby. That allowed Sienna Pal to come through and take that 4th position away. Sometimes you just need a little bit of luck, and Sienna got it.
So joining Bethany Shriver, Lauren Reynolds, Taya Rufus and Delaney Vaughan will be Sakakibara, Zoe Glassons, Axel Etienne and Sienna Pell. They are 8 of our 16 riders to make their way in through. The next 8 will come from heats 3 and 4 in our quarterfinals, who will be going on to those semi-finals. Riders lined up.
Yeah,
ready here on heat 3.
Absolutely, and we are looking at the 110 of Laura Smulders out of the Netherlands. She has won no less than 6 World Cups on this track here in Papendal. First one in 2014 and the last one in 2019, so she's going to want to make it another win in 2025.
Okay, riders, random start. Riders ready, watch the gate.
So Smulders, can she make it 7 World Cup wins here on this track in Papendal? Well, she's doing it the best way possible by leading out this quarterfinal into turn number 1. Malin Kelstrup's in there as well in that 2nd position. That looks like the 25. I think that belongs to Talia Burford of Switzerland. She's there in 3rd at the moment. One rider exits the wrong side. Not quite sure who that was as they come out of the turn. Where is Camille Mer of France? She's in there in that 4th spot. So the French rider holding on to it at the minute, but under a little bit of pressure, I think, from Indisch keepers as they come towards that final turn. Camille Mer holding on to it, but Smulders is going to take the quarterfinal win. Smulders, Kelstrup, Burford, you're 1, 2, 3. Indy Sheepers picking up the fall from Camille Mer. There was a right battle down the final straight, and it looks like the Dutch rider took it.
Yeah, good move there, overtaking just on that final straight, and I think coming in towards the line, that's going to be Joji Abuta, who goes in through just behind the rest of the 3 riders, not making it around that turn. Schmolder's kicking away. She was good in round 1, day 1 of 2 days of competition, rather than round 2 when we're in Sarion. Looking good again. Yeah, looking good again. I'm sure Laura Smulders would love to make it World Cup win number 28 of her career in front of the home fans here in the Netherlands. I'm sure that would spark some wild scenes in the stands. Meanwhile, Dewey Abuta out front in control, nearly taking the photographer out at the same time. Meanwhile, Laura Smulders was bringing it down to the line. Malin Kelstrup a solid lap in there in 2. Burford in 3. Yeah, fast feet from the photographers required there, definitely, to keep out of the way. They're very experienced and do have to, of course, get their accreditation. All those photographers doing a fantastic job of getting the images from trackside as Laura Smulders takes away the win in heat number 3 from Kelstrup, Burford and Sheepers. And that leaves us 4 more riders to go through. Molly Simpson lining up here on the right-hand side of your screen in gate number 1. The current series leader, 3rd place in round 1, top spot in round number 2. 870 points to Zoe Clayson, 735 points. That's the scores on the door so far in the standings. Yep, there's the 388 of Judy Bow. She took a win here in the World Cup in 2019, but she's recovering from a broken shoulder. So let's see how she gets on here.
Riders ready, watch the gate.
Winner of round number 2, Molly Simpson of Canada on the inside. She's got Manon Veenstra to deal with as well, and Gabriela Bolle Carrillo of Colombia. And it looks like Simpson picking up where she left off in Sarion's, out in front in this one. Judy Bow going well in there in 2, Gabriela Bolle in 3, and Manon Veenstra, the Olympic silver medalist, in there in that 4th spot. So big gap to the rider in 5, which I think is Aliska Bartonkova. It is Bartonkova in that 5th spot, but Molly Simpson of Canada looking good. Judy Bow's tracking her down this final straight. Is she going to pick her off at the line? She's not. It's going to be Simpson and Bow 1 and 2. Veenstra in there in 3. I have a feeling that Bartonkova might have just come through. She did stole it away for that 4th spot of the line. Munoz Vanegas in 5.
Well, Molly Simpson continuing on good form there and comes in through Madam Veenstra. Am I correct in thinking that she came in through last chance qualifier, so didn't go through in round one and then had to go to LCQ?
I think she did go LCQ actually, if I remember correctly.
So if you don't come through, if you don't qualify instantly on round number one, you do get that last chance qualifier to take you through into the next round. And that gives you that little bit extra chance, particularly in those early rounds.
Yeah, absolutely. Simpson, Bout and Veenstra going 1, 2 and 3. Aliska Barton-Cover in 4. And those were the riders going through to the semi-finals.
So Molly Simpson confirmed taking away the win from Judy Bauerman and Veenstra, and then Aliska Barton-Cover. They're the last four riders to join the rest as they now get themselves rested and ready. They're going to be in our semi-finals. A quick reminder for you that we will be bringing you those semi and finals a little bit later on in the day here at round number 3 of the UCI BMX Racing World Cup. We're going to move on as you can see, and our riders already getting lined up on the gate.
Yep, Jason Nordam in at gate number 1 holds the fastest lap so far in this round of the competition, 34.611. He's got Joshua Jolly of Australia right there next to him, so expect some fireworks as these two riders come down that first straight, and that's before you add in the likes of Enzo Leclerc, Marek Neusel and Bailey Seckold. And there is Joshua Jolly.
Okay, riders, random start. Riders ready, watch the gate.
So Nordam, Jolly and Leclerc occupying those first 3 gates, and Leclerc has been shuffled out of the back already, but it's Nordam and Joshua Jolly going 1 and 2 into the corner. Leclerc's trying to make his move now and work his way into third, and he's managed it. So Boujon in there as well, and also Carmona of Colombia, but it's Nordam and Joshua Jolly leading it out 1 and 2. Looks like the Colombian's still in there in that 4th spot at the minute, where is Bailey Seckold. He's trying to make some moves as well as they come towards that final corner. No sign of Marek Neusel inside the top 4 as they come in and out of the turn. It's going to be Joshua Jolly bringing it to the line just behind Jason Nordam. Enzo Leclerc in 3. Carmona of Colombia in 4. Le Boujon of France out in 5.
And Jason Nordam breaking that 2.4 second marker down onto that start timing beam. The only rider to go sub 2.4, nearest 2.408, was Joshua Jolly. Just so quick down that start ramp. Not everybody makes the distance on the start ramp into that first turn. Some of the riders do that a little bit later on, but he seems to be getting that whole shot by nailing that start ramp.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the quicker you can get down that start hill, the better. And Nordam and Jolly going 1 and 2. Leclerc making up for a poor start by working his way into 3. Was very smart in that first turn. And Velasquez Carmona of Colombia in 4.
So this is the first of our men's quarterfinals in the men's under 23 race category, and you can see the results from heat number 1. The first of those men's under 23 quarterfinals, Jason Nordam taking away the win from Joshua Jolly, Enzo Leclerc, and then Juan Velasquez Carmona, the last of those riders to qualify, with Le Bourgeon along with Maturano, Neusel and Seckold eliminated from the competition. We're going to move on to the second of our quarterfinals, and another quarterfinal that's got a number of riders that have scored well in rounds 1 and 2. Nobody who's been particularly dominant across both rounds though here.
Yeah, very evenly matched. Marcus Leth and Clement Rocheroux in this one. Mika Lang, who literally got through the previous round by the skin of his teeth. Jordan Callum of Australia as well. Ethan Popovich doing it for the USA.
Okay, riders, random start. Riders ready, watch the gate.
Well, looks like there was no Luis on Russo in that one. Didn't see anybody in gate number 3 as the riders left the gate, but it looks like Clement Rocheroux of France is going to lead it into the corner. In and out we go. Far right, Leth, Callum, that is your 1, 2, 3 and 4. All 1 rider's already exited on the right hand side of that second straight. Clement Rocheroux is the man out front though. The Australian Jordan Callum in that second position. I can see the Belgian rider Loris Gimois as well inside the top 3, and it looks like Mika Lang who's in that 4th spot. Rocheroux still hanging on to it. The Danish rider Marcus Leth pushing Mika Lang to the line. Couldn't quite make it stick. He's going to go out in that 5th spot. Ethan Popovich for 6.
It's Matteo Farr who's gone off the side of the track there. The rider who got 15th in round 1, then got 8th in round 2, so made the finals in round 2. Not going to make the finals going off the side of the track there.
No, not quite sure what happened to Luison Russo. He was on the top of the gate, but didn't actually take his place on the the quarter final. So let's hope he's okay. Meanwhile, Clement Rocheroux was leading it through as Faure exited the wrong side in the coaches, doing the traditional filming with the iPads as they go in and out of that final turn. Jordan Callum in that second spot. Laurent Gimois picking up the third, and Mika Lang was under pressure but managed to hold on to it from Marcus Leth.
So halfway through the quarterfinals, we've got Rocheroux, Callum, Jean-Moy and Lang joining Nordam, Joliet, Leclerc and Velasquez Carmona, who will be there from Pipers Gate, Melis, Hartmann, Leinen, Bering, Zanasev and Valberg. They're the riders coming up in Heat 3. Heat 4 is Pikanowski, Asmuth, Luthi, Louet, Apamon, Spek, as well as Jacquet and Radielli.
Yep, very even in this third quarter final. Casper Piepers and Pierre Gis. Jules Mellis in there as well. Victor Berings, Jesper Valberg coming up from the 16-year-olds last year, and certainly getting some good World Cup experience here in Papendal.
Okay, riders, random start. Riders ready, watch the gate.
So taking a look at the riders heading down the hill in Heat 3 of these men under 23 quarterfinals. Looks like they go into the turn. It's going to be the French rider Pierre Gis leading it out. Kesper Pipers in there in 2. Ryan Hartmann in 3. And Kazantsev, the neutral athlete, in that 4th spot. Here comes Jesper Valberg of Sweden working his way into that 3rd spot, battling with Seppilainen, the Belgian national champion, with the Belgian flag on his sleeve. And as moves being made as they go into that final corner, looks like Pipers has stolen it away from Gis. They're going to go 1 and 2. Valberg's going to have a great lap. He's going to finish in there in 3. Who's going to pick up that 4th spot as they cross the line? Seppilainen and Kazantsev out in 5. Melis in 6. But Piepers and Gis out front and looking good in 1 and 2.
And Seppilainen was looking and looking. I'm not quite sure how he missed that back at Will as he came around the turn of Jesper Valberg on one of those corners. But very, very tight racing here. Casper Pipers and Pierre Gis. So they go through and kind of go into form there in a lot of ways.
Yeah, lining up in formation as they went round that turn. And, Valberg had come across from the outside down that 2nd straight. Looks like a rider might have gone down on that 3rd straight just before they got to the triple at the end. Meanwhile, Valberg taking the 3, Seppilainen for the 4, and the neutral athlete Alexander Kazantsev out in 5.
So we have 12 of our riders going through those last 4 that we've just seen. Pipers Gate, Valberg and Leinen, who will be joining them, who will be making that semi-final here today at round number 3 of the UCI BMX Racing World Cup in Papendal in the Netherlands. We are here for 2 rounds, rounds 3 and 4 consecutive days of racing as the wind gusting just a little bit higher now at the moment, going up to about 25, 26 kilometres an hour in the gust, but dropping down quite low to about 5 or 6 kilometres an hour, so quite gusty, not consistent, not making it particularly easy.
Yep, you can see the trees there moving in the background, so it is getting a bit breezy here at Papendal in the Netherlands. Gate number 1, the European champion Alexis Pishinowski on that 502 plate, but he's got Jesse Asmus right next to him to deal with.
Okay, riders, random start. Riders ready, watch the gate.
So Pishinowski and Asmus on the inside, but you've also got Mark Luthi and Mathis Louet in there as well. 1 rider, 2 riders down on that 1st straight. I've got a feeling we might have even lost 3, including the Belgian rider Niels Appelmont. He went down on that 1st straight, so it looks like Pishinowski is the rider out front and in control, and that is Marco Radielli. The top 4 are out front and clear, so these guys are all going to make it through. It's just a case of what order they're going to go through in. Pishinowski's going to lead it into the turners. I think Asmus went down as well. He did. Asmus, Luthi and Mathis Louet all went down on that 1st straight. So Pishinowski working his way in. He's going to take that 1st spot. Jacquet in 2, Skursbeck in 3. Radaeli in 4. All got mixed up on that first straight. Be interesting to see what happened to Jesse Asmus.
That is a shock, isn't it? See Asmus go out from the competition. No surprise to see Pikanowski go through there. But Louis Asmus, Luthi and Appam on the riders who tangled up. Rich, what happened?
Yeah, just interesting to see what happened. It looks like Asmus, he went down and looked like he went up the face of the jump as he crashed. Maybe his foot came out of the pedal. Couldn't quite tell, or he clipped the back wheel of the rider in front. Got very mixed up. Meanwhile, Pikanowski out in front, Radaeli in there in 4th, Matthias Jacque and Jan Antob Skursbeck of Germany. Those were the 4 riders going through. I've got a feeling Asmus clipped the back wheel of the rider in front of him, and that was enough to put him over the bars. I'm hoping he's okay, and he's going to be back for round number 4.
Well, the sun continues to shine down here in Papendal as we had just seen our last rider come back in and over the line there. Not to be his day today. Time to get patched up, try and get rid of all that bouncing, all the sores, all the damage that's been done on the way in through, and be ready for round number 4. Our men's 8th and quarterfinals are all done and dusted, and the semi-finals and the finals are looking really exciting, Rich.
Yeah, they definitely are looking exciting, and one rider who's going to be in there, Alexis Pikanowski, who took the win in that quarter-final from Jacque Skursbeck and Radaeli. Those riders going through. 4 riders not finishing, including Jesse Asmus and Mark Luthi, so that is a bit of a shock. Semi-finals, we're looking forward to those a little bit later on in the day.
So the track mechanics just making their way out of the side. Let's take a look back at some of the action. So some great racing action here today, Rich. Some really interesting riders coming to the fore. People like Bierman looking very, very strong.
Yeah, Rico Bierman did look good as they went through the quarterfinals.
So just watching these riders coming around the turn. We saw a lot of riders coming off the edge of the turn as well there. We also saw plenty of riders coming down on the end of that triple, Rich. Plenty of incident.
Yeah, it caught a couple of riders out, notably Veronica Stariska in the Women Under-23s quarterfinals. That was a rough one. But she'll be back for round number 4.
So just watching that push to the line. The congratulations for the riders. They come up over the line. So some fantastic action, Rich, here in the 8th and quarterfinals. We're going to be back for the semi-finals. I'm really looking forward to that. Then on to those finals. We will see who comes out of here, leading at the end of round number 3, moving on to round number 4. So do make sure you come and join Rich and myself, Matt Payne, and Rich Eames and myself. We will be back for our semis and for our finals. We'll see you soon.